we're back.
How's it going, everybody? It's been a while since we made a video. It's been a really long time since we've made a video.
About a year.
Something like that. Maybe not too long, just a year. But I thought this one was going to be kind of an important one. I wanted to give everybody an update on where we're at anyway, so this is real time. It's June of 2022. If you've been following us for a while, you know what this is. This is our 2021 Grand Design Reflection 31MB. Back in 2020 when everything got crazy, I lost my job and we ended up selling our house and buying this to live in full time. So over the past 2 years, we've had so many people ask us for a tour and we never quite got around to it. But now that we've hit the 2-year mark, I think this is a great time to do it. We can show you how it's held up over the past 2 years of full-time living. Really, I mean, what better time to do it than now, because we just sold it.
Wait, what?
Just ride all the way to the rainbow's end. Just ride.
Okay, let's talk about why we decided to go with the 31MB for our first full-time rig. The biggest reason for me, at the time, the truck that I had was a 2018 Ram 2500 Limited short bed crew cab. And you know, with a 3/4 ton truck, your towing capacity is kind of limited. I could probably handle about 2,000 pound pin weight, something like that. We weren't really in a position to get a new truck at the time, so we kind of had to get whatever that truck could handle.
We did know that we wanted a Grand Design.
Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly. We'd done a lot of research ever since we bought our very first camper that if you've watched that far back, we had a Coachman Catalina that we bought back in 2019. Took that thing all over the place and had a blast with it, but you know, definitely needed something bigger than that for full time. And we did a lot of research even before we decided to make this leap. Grand Design just really jumped out as an awesome company. Because of their customer service, because of the community. You know, you can get online on Facebook and a few other places and find these forums full of Grand Design owners, and just the passion that people have for this brand is incredible. So we knew we wanted a Grand Design. We had to get something that truck could tow. This camper is 36 feet long, gross weight is just under 12,000 pounds, and it's got a pin weight just under 1,800 pounds. So it was close, but it was within the limits of what the Ram could handle. Pretty much the biggest thing that we could handle at the time. And the good thing about it being smaller is that, you know, we didn't know where we were going to go. We didn't know where we were going to stay. We knew that we'd have to make some quick decisions on different campsites, and we didn't want to be limited by having something that was just massive.
Yeah.
So this made it really easy to fit into a lot lot of places.
State parks, national parks.
Boondocking. You know, we did harvest hosts, so we stayed in a lot of farms and wineries, and you know, some of those places you had to maneuver through little gates to get onto the property. So,
but we were just the right size to be able to do that.
Yeah, one of our favorite campsites, which I know we haven't made a video on it yet, but well, we kind of did. When we did our security video, we were at Mistletoe State Park in Georgia, and that was one of the nicest sites we've ever been in, but it was tight trying to get in there. I don't know that we could have backed into that site with anything bigger than this. So one of the major selling points for us of this model was the size. And even though it's compact, Grand Design really did a great job of packing this floor plan full of awesome features for a family our size, family of 4. You know, we got 2 kids and a dog, so I guess we're family of 5. The dog's a big kid.
He weighs as much as our children.
Yeah, yeah. So they did a good job of laying this floor plan out for a family like ours. Let's go ahead and take a walk around it, and we'll show you some of the features that this thing has. So I wouldn't really call it an outdoor kitchen because it doesn't have a sink. But you do have a little fridge out here, and you got a space to put a griddle, you know, a Blackstone griddle or any other cooking device you want. And then plus your little mini fridge.
Condiments and drinks.
Right.
Whatever you need outside.
Brewskis.
This is really nice for the kids because I can put snacks out here, I can put drinks out here, and they're not tracking through my camper every single day, 20,000 times a day.
One thing that bugged me about this though is that you would think you'd grab it over here to open it, but it hinges that way. I don't know. You can switch it. It's just I never got around to doing that. And
You have cable hookup
yeah,
and plug-ins back here.
yeah. If you want to do an outdoor TV, you got a connection for it right there.
One of the cons for me was smaller storage in the basement area.
Yeah. A benefit of having a fifth wheel is that your bedroom is up higher, so you do get a lot more space underneath here. But you know, it's not a drop frame, so you're kind of taking up all this with your frame. It does give you a neat little cubby hole there for storing chalk blocks or, you know, whatever you might need. But could use a little bit more space in the basement, but we made it work.
So that was a con for us.
Yeah. And then of course you got 30-pound propane bottles. You got one on each side, so 60 pounds total. And honestly, I mean, in the summertime, we'd fill these things up
One time.
and it would last us all
And
summer.
that's cooking inside, outside.
Yeah, even doing some boondocking and having to run the
heat
water
wouldn't go.
heater.
Oh, yes.
Run the water heater off propane and the fridge. It lasts all summer off of 60 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So it came with the traditional kingpin, you know, your standard fifth wheel hitch. After the first year of owning this, we decided to upgrade to the Goose Box. The hitch that came on it was just, it didn't have any flex to it. We had the Anderson hitch, had that little red cone, and then it's got the frame that goes in the bed. That thing kept kicking sideways on us. Like no matter how much I adjusted it, I couldn't get it to stay in one spot. It kept twisting. I don't recommend the Anderson hitch for full-time use. It's great if you're going to take it out every weekend, but for full-time, I'd definitely get something different. So we decided to take that out and swap to the Goose Box. And the main reason is the only thing I had back there was just a ball whenever we disconnect. So we kept all that bed space wide open, which was great because when we go to Sam's Club and have
Costco trips.
Right, Sam's Club, Costco, anytime we went shopping for anything, we had plenty of space in the bed for all our
Absolutely.
stuff. More storage up front here. Pretty decent amount of space for a fifth wheel. I've seen bigger, but don't.
I didn't.
This is where your battery sits. And a lot of people actually throw in a couple extra batteries. You can do your solar and all that stuff up here. It's already pre-wired for solar, so you've got all your connections dropping down from the roof over there. There's enough room in there if you wanted to throw in a generator, but I kept all my tools and accessories up here. Plenty of room for whatever you need up front. I like this too, the panel for your jacks is up here on the front. Some of them are over on the side, like in your wet bay area. This is right here where you need to use it when you're disconnecting. I'm glad they put it there, and I wish more manufacturers did that. There's your other propane bottle, and then the wet bay with the Nautilus system. This thing makes it so easy to figure out how to set your plumbing. On our old camper, we had to get underneath the sink and start moving stuff around, but it's all right here. Whether you're dry camping, connected to city water, if you need to winterize, fill your tank, you just follow the instructions. Black tank, gray tank, pull handles are under here. The one for the galley tank is underneath the bunkhouse slide. I wish they put it in here because it's kind of hard to get to, but honestly, we usually leave our gray tank and the galley tank open most of the time anyway, so it's not that big of a deal.
You also have your water pump switch right here. Also, I don't think we've ever used this, but the connections for an outdoor shower.
Yeah, the other side just has cold water, but you can get cold and hot water on this side. So if you want to bathe the dog or hose off the kids,
Or hose off poop when you spill it on yourself like you did in South Dakota. Oh my. Gary just had a major mishap. Anybody want to guess what happened? And there's his clothes. Oh yeah. So what happened, honey?
I had an incident.
What kind of incident?
I'm covered in Yeah, speaking of, this didn't come with the camper, this Valterra gate valve, but if you haven't seen that video, this should be your first purchase. There's always a little bit that sloshes out of the tanks and makes its way down to the tube, and if you have nothing but a cap there when you take it off, a little bit that drips down, that can get pressurized when it starts sloshing around and warming up, so you're gonna have some leftovers coming out. If you're gonna dump your tanks, don't wear flip-flops. Putting that on there kind of keeps it all concealed in there until you get your hose connected, then you can pull the handle and release it. It's like 20 bucks. Good investment, trust me. Your 50 amp connectors on the back side, really easy to get to. I'd say 85% of the time. Our power pedestal's been located at the back anyway, so we rarely have to uncoil the hose completely. And this one has a hitch with a 2-inch receiver on it. And we carried our bikes around all over the country, so I'm glad that had a hitch with it. A lot of them just have that square bumper, and they're not really rated for bike racks and any kind of accessories, so the 2-inch receivers, I think it's a must-have. Another upgrade we did, you might have seen the video where we did our full security system. I highly recommend replacing your locks as soon as you buy a camper, because like I said in the other video, most of the time when you buy a camper, it uses the same key that a bunch of other campers out there have. So your neighbor probably has a key to your storage compartment. Most of the time you have one key to your door and then a different key to everything else. So going with something like RV lock, replacing them all, getting one key on the whole thing is extremely important. I can't tell you how many times we were grateful to have the keyless entry. You don't have to worry about taking your keys with you if you go to the pool or down to the beach or something. You just punch in your code, unlock your door.
Or if you need to stop on the side of the interstate for an emergency stop.
Yeah, we've had a few of those. It's nice not having to dig for keys. All right, let's take you inside and we'll give you the grand tour.
One of the top 5 pros for me is the size of the pantry. You can go to the regular grocery store, you can go to Sam's or Costco, stock up on what you need and don't have to go back for a few days.
We kept that sucker full too.
Packed.
Speaking of food storage, I know we were going to kind of work our way around, but the pantry's awesome. Tons of space in there. The fridge, not so much.
We thought we could make it work, and we did for a little while, but once we got on the road, we were just not able to get to enough stores, going once, sometimes 2 and 3 times a week to keep enough food for all of us. Between this one and the kids, you know, because I don't eat that much.
This one? I'm not going to argue with that.
Yeah. Anyway, it was really hard to keep enough to cook. There's just not enough room for fruits, vegetables, everything that you need to eat healthy. And fresh fruit, you have to eat it within 24 to 48 hours or it's spoiled.
Yeah, we couldn't keep lettuce in here either. We kept buying like heads of lettuce or bags of lettuce, and it would go bad in like 2 days. I don't know why. Something about that fridge, it doesn't like fresh fruits and vegetables. So
we ended up eating fast food, which was super bad for our health. I do not like the fridge at all.
Now, we were able to supplement it by having the outdoor fridge. We kept a bunch of stuff out there, but I tried to keep a bunch of drinks cold out there. We never put drinks in here. We always kept them in the bottom of the pantry, and we just, put a couple of them in there to cool down when we know we were going to get thirsty. Bottom line is, if this is the biggest fridge you have and you're eating out of it every single day, unless you're going to the grocery store at least once a week, maybe a couple times a week, it's going to end up costing you more money because you're not going to have time to run out to the store all the time, and you're going to end up going out to eat somewhere. For weekend camping,
this would be perfect.
If you're just going to go on like a week-long trip or a couple weeks, or if you're just taking it out on the weekends, this fridge is perfect. It's more than enough. If you're going to live in it full-time and you got a hungry family, this ain't going to cut it, trust me.
I thought this was going to be a pro for me because I was super excited and ready to get into it and learn how to use it, was the convection oven. I never used the convection. Not one time. Gary did. Maybe twice.
Yep. When our air fryer broke. Air fryer, that is a highly, probably top 10 things that you need if you're going to full-time. Especially if your kids love fries, because they don't do well in the oven. Speaking of the oven, it took me a year to even turn this thing on and use it for the first time. We never used the one in our old camper.
I never used it.
But when we did use it, it actually worked pretty well. I was impressed. I don't think it gets as hot as a your standard residential oven, and it's not as consistent either, but
it is not.
But it worked pretty well.
Yes. Stove as well, you've got 3 burners. We used the mess out of this.
Daily.
This always worried me because it was glass and I was always afraid that it was going to break. I saw quite a few on the Facebook forums that they did actually break, but
we never had a problem.
You
also didn't like the the wall.
I did not like the wall, yes.
It felt kind of dark and depressing. So
Yes.
we got some of these stick-on tiles. They were cheap, but they've held up pretty well, and I think it made a difference. It made it look really nice in here. Something else I really liked about this model, this is a mid-bunk rear living. Obviously your living area, your kitchen, and everything is in the back. A lot of these floor plans don't have a whole lot of counter space in them. You're lucky if you can get a little bit next to the stove and then your island. This thing, you've got your big island here with these little pieces that drop into the sink. That's nice, but you also have all this space over here underneath the TV. Yeah, you got a TV there, but when you got to spread out and lay some stuff out for your meals, you got the room for it.
Taco bar right here.
Yeah, taco buffet, baby.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's what I want for dinner.
Hey, how about just Chipotle?
Okay.
Okay.
Sold.
This came with a 40-inch Roku TV. That lasted about 4 months, maybe, before it got this big black streak down the side of it. So I took that out and put in this 43-inch Samsung TV. That's about as big as you can go in this space, and it's filling out every corner of it. So that was what?
We were just talking about not eating now, and here we go. We want to go to Chipotle for dinner.
I love the fireplace in here too. This thing, believe it or not, being full time, we've been in this so like Joe Biden.
I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure.
Maybe I should edit that. No, I'm not either. Anyway, I love the fireplace in this thing. We've been in temperatures as high as like 114 degrees out in Moab, and we've been in temperatures as low as -8.
Yes.
I think keeping the temperature regulated is important. We figured out that the fireplace alone will keep this entire camper nice and toasty as long as it's not any less than about 40 degrees outside. 40, 45, somewhere in there. If you're anywhere above that fireplace is all you need to keep you warm in here. We'll turn that on, and then we'll turn the fan on in this main AC, and it just circulates that heat all through the camper. So
Such a pro.
yeah, that's another benefit of having a camper that's not freaking massive too.
Yes, and that saved us on propane through the winter so much.
Yeah.
Another good thing, there's a plug-in down here. We're able to plug in our phones there. Put your remotes in here. Nice little cubby hole.
What you're saying, that's a good thing. Honestly, another con for me, there's not many outlets in here. You got that one under the TV, then you got one on both sides of the island, and then there's one behind the TV, so like if I want to plug in the coffee pot, ice maker, toaster, whatever, I had to run a power strip behind the TV. The only other outlet in the living area is down there.
Under the table.
Under the table. It's right there. Which, I mean, we'd sit here and do, work, schoolwork, whatever, and be able to plug our laptops up. But I wish it had like USB chargers in the couch or something, because we were always trying to find an outlet. And if I wanted to plug up something down there, I'd have to get one of the kids to do it because I can barely fit. So needs more outlets for sure.
Another pro for me was this camper has tons of storage in this kitchen area. I was able to put most of our homeschool items, my schooling items, Gary's schooling items, anything we needed up in this area. The only con to have these up here is having to climb because I'm super short. So anytime I needed to get up here for any reason, I had to climb up here. And if anybody's sitting at the table eating, doing schoolwork, I have to make them move. There's also, you have storage underneath each section of the dinette.
Huge spaces under here. You can get to them from this little door on the outside, or you can also flip up the cushion.
And I don't know why they didn't put the hole here.
Yeah, I wish that was like out here and had a hinge in the back. You can flip that up and get under there really easy. Yeah, so you got that on both sides, and then also the back section, this whole area back here opens up too, so you can keep extra blankets back there.
But you can't get to the back one unless you take the cushions and everything off. It doesn't have a door underneath to be able to access it easily.
Not the easiest thing to get to, but if you got some stuff that you don't use all the time, it's a great spot to put it, and you got plenty of room for it. Speaking of the table, in the older models, I think up until 2019, this table had 2 legs on it, which made it more stable. but you know, for a big guy like me, you're banging your knees on them all the time. So they ended up going with a single telescopic leg. That guy right there. Flip the handles out, push it down, and it turns into a bed. The bad thing with that type of leg is that you've only got that one point in the middle, and there's a lot of movement in that leg. So I'll show you. If I sit down here to, you know, pull out the laptop and do this over time, like if I sit here for an hour or two, this whole table is going to be doing this number. And then if somebody sits on the other side, then you get a seesaw.
All day long.
Yeah.
That's really hard when you're sitting there for 6-7 hours trying to do work, schoolwork,
Right.
what have you. And it's just constant up and down.
So there again, for weekend use, sitting down eating a meal at it, not a problem at all. For full time, if you're going to be working off of this, like using it as an office, doing your school work on it, that's going to get really annoying. This will drive you batshit crazy after a while. Trust me. All right, let's talk about the
Huge con.
big gray elephant in the room. Oh man. Okay.
It's awful.
I love this couch. This is one of the biggest selling points for me. A lot of the time in a camper this size, you're gonna have a couple of recliners. They call it theater seating. That's fine if you just have 2 people. If you have a family of 4, they gotta have someplace to sit. We love movies. We love family movie night. That's something that we didn't want to give up. So a big selling point for this camper was this couch because it's huge. It's got enough room that all 4 of us could fit on it. Of course, our kids are getting a little bit bigger, so getting a little tight nowadays, but when we first got it, we could all 4 fit there, no problem. And all 3 sections of it recline, plus the center section folds down. Get a couple extra cup holders there. You could even fold that down and put your laptop on it if you want to do some work there. And then the outside sections have heat and massage, but as you may notice, we had this little issue. A few months after we got this thing, we started noticing little bits and pieces of it started cracking.
In this area.
Yeah, this section never really felt right. It always kind of sagged on this side. It's like the other 2 felt solid. This just felt weak.
Like it wasn't connected properly. And we told them about it, and they said that we needed a new couch, that it was broken down. So they were supposed to order the couch.
Yeah.
They didn't.
I'm not going to get into it.
They
but
dropped the ball.
They dropped the ball big time. So here we are 2 years later, and we've got a messed up couch. It's actually, we've had this camper on the market for a little over 2 weeks now, and that's been the one thing that's made it hard for us to sell. People don't want to have to deal with this. I completely understand.
I can't blame them.
No, and we do have a buyer now, fortunately, and we've talked to Lippard, who makes the Thomas Paine furniture. They're going to help us out on getting a replacement. We're going to send that to the new owners. That drives me crazy because I love this couch so much, and I hate that happened.
Moving on.
Moving on.
Before we leave the kitchen living area, the biggest pro for me is the windows. The views out of these windows have been breathtaking.
Yeah, we were talking about Mistletoe State Park earlier. We were on a peninsula, so we had water on 3 sides. I mean, every single window that we looked out of, we could see that lake. We looked at a few bunkhouse models. A lot of them were rear bunks, but the major reason we went with a mid-bunk was because of that. It just feels so much more open back here. It doesn't feel claustrophobic, and I was really worried
That was huge for me.
that we were going to feel claustrophobic, because we went from 2,700 square feet down to this. So the last thing I wanted to do was make everybody feel cramped. This type of floor plan, having all those windows, we never had that problem.
Yeah.
Speaking of mid-bunk, another major selling point of this model in particular, a lot of mid-bunks are going to have a couch down here, and then you might have the flip down bunk, and then your ceiling is going to be right here. Right? The reason they do that is because most of them have a loft. This one doesn't have a loft. So this is an actual mid-bunk, meaning you have 2 good-sized bunks. You don't have to fold anything out to make a bed. It's just you have beds. And then not having the loft up top, you get a much higher ceiling. You know, we were talking about feeling claustrophobic. That made this room feel a whole lot bigger. And for both of our kids to be in here, I wanted them to have as much space as possible. It made it a lot bigger and brighter. You always had natural daylight coming in up top. The higher ceiling, it gives a place for the heat to go. So when it starts getting warm, all that's sitting up top, and it stays a lot cooler down here. Plus, it gives you a lot more storage space because these cabinets are, I mean, I'm almost 6'2", and I can't reach the top of that without standing on my tiptoes. So you've got a ton of storage space in here, all these up top, all the drawers on the bottom, and then since you have an actual bunk and not the couch, you've got 3 drawers down there too. Some people have even modified this with a hinge so that you can open that up and then access the storage behind it, because there's probably a couple feet back there that you really can't get to unless you pull the drawers out. It did not come with a ladder, but I got this one for it. This is from Stromberg Carlson. They make a lot of RV parts. I had to cut off, I think, about 8 inches of it down there in the bottom. Just put the feet back on, but it ended up being the perfect height for this top bunk. It did not come with the TV. We just put in a Roku TV, which matched the original one that was in there. And I put this on an articulating mount. It's actually a specific RV mount that locks into place. You can buy those articulating mounts and, you know, point them wherever you want to point them, but a lot of them don't lock in place, and you end up with your TV doing this while you're moving down the road. If you're going to get a TV mount for your camper, make sure you get one that locks. It'll keep everything a lot more secure and keep you from damaging your equipment. All right, this is an awesome bunk room. I think it's one of the best layouts for a mid-bunk on the market. I like the fact that it has 2 doors. You got one here off the entryway, and you've also got this barn door that goes into the kitchen. You know, it makes it feel really huge and open in here when both of these things are opened up. But this is one thing I absolutely despise about this floor plan, is this stupid barn door. Oh my God, okay. When we first got it, it had a little fabric strap, kind of like the one on that door over there. And the very first time we got it on the road, our very first stop, that strap had popped off, and this door was all the way over here.
Hanging on by one wheel.
Yeah. It had popped out of the little retaining clip at the bottom, and we had to get it back in track and kind of rehang it. We went probably like a month with just that fabric strap, and every time we got it on the road, this door was flying. We got on the forums and looked. Everybody had the same problem. Almost a year after we bought it, this thing had moved back and forth so much that it actually ended up pushing this little magnet into the wall. It pushed that in there, and it actually caused a gap to form right here. So we took it to the dealer, had that fixed under warranty. They tightened the wall back up, they reinforced this, put in a new magnet, and then put new hardware on the door to tighten it up some. And we were hoping that that would solve our problem. It did not. And then finally I had the bright idea to do these little bungee straps. This exact strap is what they installed on the master bedroom door. It's a barn door like this too, and it goes side to side and it never moves. So I bought a couple of these. We put an extra magnet down on the bottom on that side, and then I put this strap in place of the old one, and then I put a second one down there on the bottom. Now when we strap this thing in, it doesn't go anywhere. I mean, I can't. That's solid. If you got a 31 MB and you haven't had an issue with your barn door yet, you're one of the lucky ones. Do a little preventative maintenance, get you some of these bungee cords and an extra magnet. You won't have any problems out of that door. And then one last note about the bunk room. The fact that it's one big bunk room and it has room for both the kids is a pro and a con. For us anyway, it was a pro at first because, you know, the kids had this huge space that they could hang out in. When we first started, they were 8 and 11. Our little girl was 8, our boy was 11, and as they've gotten older, they're 10 and 13 now, they're kind of at that age where they need a little bit more separation. They started fighting a lot over, you know, who was going to take up the space, who was going to get to use what drawers. And then plus, you know, they're a boy and a girl, and at that age, they just really need to have their own space. Mm-hmm. So if you got younger kids, 2 little dudes, 2 little girls, it's perfect. If you just have one kid, it's more than perfect because they got that whole space to themselves. But if you got kids that are getting older, especially if you got, you know, a boy and a girl, or if you've got a teenager, you might want to look at something with a loft to give them a little bit more separation. So it was a pro at first. It ended up being a con later on. All right, moving on. So what do you think about this bathroom?
First things first, get you a fan that has a remote.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, this had a manual fan in it, so you'd have to reach up here, twist the thing open, and then flip a switch to turn the power on. And it was this little tiny fan that
Didn't suck anything
yeah,
out of here.
I was going to say that it sucked, but that's exactly
It did not suck.
That's exactly what it didn't do. It didn't suck at all. The biggest problem with the manual fan, besides just having that tiny little fan on it, was that nobody could reach it except for me. Every time somebody came in the bathroom, I'd hear, "Honey, can you turn the fan on for me? Daddy, turn the fan on, please."
No, it was more like, what's that smell?
Okay, I'm being polite. Most of the time, I'd just be like,
I'm not polite. I'm honest.
most of the time, they didn't ask. I'd just be sitting there doing some work and be like, "Oh God," and have to get up and come turn it on. That fan actually ended up burning out. The motor burned out on it, and I bought a replacement, and it was loud. Oh my God, it was obnoxious. No, I don't think I got the right motor. I think I got an exhaust fan for like an industrial ventilation system or something. I got it off Amazon at 12 bucks. Anyway, it didn't work, so I ended up going for this Max Air fan that came with the remote control. It's basically the same fan that's in the living area, just instead of the wall controller, you got the remote for it. If you have a manual fan, I highly suggest getting a remote controlled version.
It'll change your life.
Must-have upgrade for the bathroom.
Yes.
You got a bug in your arm. Is that good luck?
I don't know. I'm kind of afraid to touch it. No, I'm not. Been full timing too long. I touch bugs now.
Anyway.
What? I used to be like, ooh, get it off of me. Now it's just like, oh, cool.
Yeah, when you spend most of your time outside, you don't worry about bugs.
You really don't care. You get used to it real quick.
Unless it's a spider, 2
No.
o'clock in the morning. Honey,
Well,
get the flip-flop. This is something I always found really trippy about this bathroom. You got your medicine cabinet over here, right? That's cool. Then you've got another medicine cabinet behind it.
whoa.
Right? So you get this like little trippy Inception thing going on there in the background. Like you can see 100 of yourself.
That's okay. The storage is amazing.
Yeah, that's the point. Is you got a ton of storage in here. It's if you can get over the fact that you got all these mirrors, but it comes in handy if you're like me and you need to see the back of your head when you're shaving it. No problems there. And in addition to your double medicine cabinets, got 3 big drawers down here, and then plenty of storage under the sink. This is something else I did right after we bought it. For some reason, the faucet that came with this camper came out like straight up and then out here. Like you could not get your hands under there to wash them at all. So I just went to Lowe's and bought this thing, raised it up a lot higher. That made a big difference, and it was a simple fix. All right, honey, show them where the magic happens.
Right here. Sometimes. I mean, there's a few other places.
Pumba, not in front of the kids.
Oh, sorry.
So we were talking about not wanting to feel claustrophobic. We wanted something that felt really open. We definitely got that in the rest of the camper. This is where we kind of had to compromise. One of the things that she really wanted was a sideways bed. I think they call it an east-west bed, where you have the slide that comes out. We didn't get that with this one. That's one way they saved on weight, especially on the pin weight. Not a whole lot of room to move around in here, unfortunately. You know, you got about maybe 16 inches there. You can kind of shimmy sideways.
You're a big dude, but
I'm a
we made it do with it, but it's...
I'm a decent sized guy, and I can't really. I can kind of turn that way if I cross my arms. It works for her, not so well for me. It's also a little tricky trying to get into the closet over here, because especially with that door there, like I've got to go all the way over here to this corner and then open it to get in there.
Lean backwards.
Yeah, lean back. Kind of a pain. Not the biggest bedroom, but we made do. It does have a queen size bed. Swapped the mattress out a couple days after we bought it. This is a Nectar mattress, and it's insanely comfortable. It's not an RV mattress, so it's squared off on the ends. The one that came with it was rounded. It had this radius, so it was a lot easier to maneuver around there. So we kind of gave that up, getting a better mattress. But if you've ever bought an RV, you know that the mattresses that come with it are just for show. They don't intend on you ever sleeping on those. You do have a decent amount of space under here too. That's a shoe holder she was talking about. So kind of like the back area in the kitchen, that stuff that you're not going to need all the time. If you're going to be full-time This is where you keep all your winter clothes during the summer, or your summer clothes during the winter.
Or Christmas presents during Christmas.
Yeah, there's that too. And it does have a ton of storage over the bed. It's got a USB charging port right there. This is something else that drove me absolutely insane. You've got that one USB charger, and then you've got regular outlets on both sides of the bed. We never use the regular outlets. We always plugged our phones in up there, and then the cords would hang down in your face, and then you'd roll over at night and rip them out of the wall. I wish that they had done a USB charger on both sides. Maybe put an outlet over there somewhere. That's really all you need. Built-in lamps.
I hate it.
Yep. I don't know why
you don't get enough light, not even to read at night. That's a huge thing for me. Couldn't even see. I was literally rolled over against the light trying to see.
A lot of campers that we've seen have lights up here. This one does not, unfortunately. Kind of tough to see with those, but...
You have the cabinets in the bottom underneath the side tables as well.
Yep. Nightstands, I guess you call those.
Yeah.
We added a TV in here too. It's a little 24-inch TV. It's a Roku as well. It's on the same kind of mount that I showed you that we had in the bunkhouse.
If I can work it properly.
Yeah, not a ton of room up there for a TV. I mean, I've seen people fit a 32-inch, but it's snug. There you go. I wish that there was a way that they could have done a swinging door instead of a barn door here, and then had this wall left open, and then been able to put the TV over here flat. Because when that TV is out to where you can see it from the bed, if you try to walk around there and you're even somebody as short as she is, you hit your head on it. Not the best spot for a TV. Mm-mm. So since we're in the bedroom, there's another design flaw that I want to point out. This one stays a lot more solid because it came with this same kind of bungee hook from the factory. But if you see right down here, that is the heat vent. See, the corner of the door is right over top of the heat vent. Notice how that's like a slightly different color there? Yeah, it's because we had to patch that up. It had this veneer on the outside of that door, and the first time we turned on the furnace, that veneer started peeling up. So in the wintertime when we run the furnace, we've got to crack this door open a couple inches. You know, if you're only camping in the summer or when it's warm or anything above 40 degrees when you can just use the fireplace, you don't have to worry about it. If you're going to be running that furnace all winter long, like if you're full-time and not smart enough to go to Florida, you got to worry about your door peeling. It's not the greatest design in the world, but I'd say most people don't ever have to deal with that, so I get it. You got to make some concessions somewhere. So that's it. Took 2 years, but hey, got a ladybug in my shirt.
Good luck, right?
Yeah, you got a moth, didn't you?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Oh man, that's, I don't know.
Should I just leave it there? Oh, can't show them that yet. Nope, don't look at that. So, for those of you that have been around for a while, I guess we got some explaining to do. Yeah, we haven't put out a video in about a year. A lot of people have been wondering, you know, are we okay? Are we still full-timing? What's our plans and what happened? Honestly, we both went back to college online. It's so hard to do that when you get older, especially full-time college.
And homeschooling the kids.
Yeah, it just kind of consumed us. It's mentally draining to have to do that at our age. And
traveling full time. You
know, it was tough to do all that and then put my mind in the video editing mode. You know, plus going back and I mean, a lot of the footage that you guys have seen already is from 2020, and I was having to remember where we went and how we were feeling that day to try to get the emotions involved in those videos, and it was just tough trying to put all that stuff together. So I had to take a break from it. Didn't plan on it being this big of a break, but it is what it is. I've really missed it though. I've really missed it. We're still on the road. We're still traveling full time, and we've been recording everything. So I've got well over a year's worth of footage that I'm still planning on putting together and showing you guys. So I guess if we're still traveling full time, then the big question is, why are we selling this camper? It's been great to us, but the lack of fridge space and the lack of a washer and dryer,
it's taking up time that we just don't have.
Yeah, we were spending a fortune. Like we spent over $150 a month just on laundry, and all the money we spent eating out just because we didn't have food in the fridge. Like it was getting stupid expensive. Yeah. Not only that, but you know, our kids are getting older and they kind of needed their own space. that bunkhouse just, it's not working for us anymore, so we kind of needed a different floor plan. So we upgraded. As a matter of fact, we've already upgraded. I'm looking at it right now. It's right there.
But you can't see that.
I'm not going to show you just yet. Let's just, okay, you know, I'm going to show them the truck.
Oh, they haven't seen the truck.
They haven't seen the truck, no.
Yeah, we have a whole new setup.
Yeah,
So.
if you remember, I had the Ram 2500. I love that truck. I've always been a Cummins guy. I can't believe I switched to a Duramax.
I chose this truck. Come look.
Okay, let me show you. It's all your fault.
Sorry. She needs a bath.
Yeah, little dirty Max there, but you might notice I got a couple extra tires on the back. I looked for another truck for months. Could not find a Cummins that I was looking for. Ended up finding a Chevy and settling on that. Where'd you go?
Hey, you're showing the camper.
Oh, oops. It wasn't my first choice, but we needed something that could handle just about anything we hitched up to it, because we didn't know what we were going to get. When we finally settled on our new rig, let me tell you, I definitely needed that. Anything smaller wouldn't have cut it. I'll do another video showing off the new rig soon. I think a lot of you are going to be surprised. You probably got some ideas on what we went with, but I don't think you're expecting this. We'll show you the new rig later, but I just thought that since we haven't put out anything in a while, it was important to come back and walk through this one last time. Is it the perfect full-time rig? No, it's not, but it got us through one of the hardest times in our life. And I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna miss it. The new owners will be here in about an hour, so I'm gonna give them the tour and teach them how to use everything, and I hope they make some good memories in it like we did. I'm really gonna miss it. You know what's really gonna suck?
What?
I've got a year's worth of footage of us traveling in this thing.
That you're gonna have to rewatch.
I know we've got the brand new one over there, but I'm gonna have to go back and watch over a year's worth of footage of this camper, and it's gonna be
hard.
It's gonna be really tough.
I know.
I'm sentimental like that. I get attached to things too easy. I can't help it. Okay, so anyway, that's the update. That's where we've been and that's where we're going. Like I said, we'll take you on the tour of the new one in the next video, and then we'll get you guys caught up. But we're going to say goodbye to this one and hand it off to the new owners. So, see you on the highway.
We're right where we feel we belong.
That's done. We're at A&L, and look right there. Look at that. What is that?
Is that our camper?
Is that our camper? It is. That's our camper.
It's our camper!
Kids,
Holy cow!
here's your new home. This is it. That's our new home. That's our new home. I can't. I'm speechless. I can't think of anything to say right now. Let's hit the road.
But we set out to walk 1,000 good miles from our hometown, leaving everyone behind as their slow fires died down. Once we left, we found it harder and harder to slow down. Yeah, we set out to walk 1,000 good miles from our hometown, leaving
The news is nothing but doom and gloom right now. And since we've been out here, I've realized that the real world is nothing like what you see on TV. Traveling is the best thing we could be doing right now. This really is the best kind of therapy.
'Cause we set out to walk 1,000 good miles from our hometown, 1,000 good miles.